Cool, man. So we have the man, the myth, the legend. It's V. How's it going, V?
Um, Not at all, not at all. It's been a
You in the
long
attic
day, but
now?
I'm glad to be here.
I remember you used to have
So upstairs,
plants.
yep, yep. So I just moved upstairs. I currently live at a loft. I just moved to the upstairs instead of the downstairs.
Hmm.
But yeah,
Okay.
I need to get some plants around. Yeah,
Oh,
absolutely.
cool, man.
But how have you been?
Yeah, I've been pretty good actually. We've been in the middle of switching everything over at work. We're working on a CI/CD pipeline using like Git and Gitty.
Okay,
I'm not sure if you've heard of them. So they're kind of like one of those GitHub clones, if you've ever seen those before.
okay, okay.
There's a couple really good ones out there, but I think Gitty's probably one of the more popular options.
hmm
Yep. So we've been in the middle
Yeah,
of transitioning, so that's been pretty cool to be a part of and see.
yeah. For our pipeline, we just use GitHub for everything. So in terms of CI/CD, we just go through that system.
Hmm.
Just makes everything easy to have it in one place. I'm not sure if that dependence is a good thing, but hey,
Hey,
it works for now.
well, at least it's all spelled out in like a file, right? And then not a single person
hmm
sitting there running commands trying to automate things. Beforehand, we didn't
Right.
really have any like automated testing. So
hmm
we don't really have much test coverage, so we've been working on trying to get some test coverage and all of that. So that's been pretty
Gotcha.
interesting. Trying to integrate that into a
Gotcha.
pre-existing code base. So today I just kind of wanted to go over like a little bit about you, a little bit about the group maybe. Talk about some of the origins, and kind of how things got started up and how they ended up where they're at today. Because I think the story would be pretty cool to hear, and I think that everyone else would like to hear that as well. So I kind of want to start out with you, man. You're a Kotlin developer, right? So
Yep.
how long have you
Yep.
been working with Kotlin for?
So I've been working with Kotlin for about 4, maybe 5 years. So I started out as a Java developer, well, as a Python developer, moved over to Java for Android development. And around that same time, Google adopted Kotlin as its preferred language for Android development. So then I moved over to Kotlin, and it's by far um, a lot more of an enjoyable language to use over Java. So it's been a great ride in terms of language choice.
Okay.
And it feels at home, especially with that Python background for me.
And how long were you doing Python for?
Not long before then. So I would
Just
just
didn't like it?
do automated scripts. Sorry, what?
So just didn't like Python?
No, 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 I enjoyed it, but I couldn't find work around Python. So
Oh,
I
okay.
enjoyed working with it. I enjoyed a lot of the capabilities that I had with Python, but I just couldn't find work around it. So it didn't make sense to keep drilling with that language if I could learn something else to get the job that I wanted. So,
Yeah, man, that's pretty cool
yeah.
actually. I didn't know you knew Python.
I'm not sure how much of it I know now because I haven't used it in many years, but I still have some projects in my GitHub repo with it. Yep.
Oh, that's pretty cool actually.
Yep.
I had to check this out sometime. What you got there
Yeah.
in your cup? Is that
Yeah.
a coffee? Tea?
I had to do it. I had to do it. Espresso podcast had to bring out the coffee cup. So
Well, today
yep.
I'm not with espresso. I'm with some key lime clear American. I had my
Okay.
espresso this morning, so
Okay. Something refreshing.
yeah, just something refreshing here. Um, yeah, man, I need to get me an espresso cup. At least get a little bit of network check vibes going on right there.
Exactly. Exactly. We're branding right on it every time you take a sip. That logo. Just yep.
um, so what do you like doing outside of code, man? Like you just into? I know you're into the plants. You got that going on.
Yeah. So I enjoy nature and everything surrounding nature. So I go on hikes, kayaking, just the outdoors in general. I love that. But recently, because it's been so cold, I've been playing a lot of soccer, indoor soccer specifically. So on Thursday nights, That's where you'll find me, and maybe some Saturday mornings. That's where you'll find me. So
Yeah.
once it gets warmer, I'll be back out on the hiking trail and on the water and all those fun things.
Okay. Jim's
Yeah.
still playing soccer with you guys out there?
He hasn't been able to make it in some time, just because of the distance. But
Oh,
I
did he
need
move?
to get on him about that. No, it's just a long drive to where we normally play, for
Oh,
him.
okay.
Yeah, and I know he's currently busy, so we'll see how that goes. He's always busy. Always busy.
Okay. Cool, man.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
let's kind of shift back
But
around a little.
how about you?
Or
Like,
like,
what do you like to do outside of coding? I know you're a gamer. I know that's
yeah,
a
I've got like 300 some odd games on Steam actually. Um, I think I've only beat like maybe four of them.
okay.
Uh, yeah, pretty much just whatever the current trend is. I think is whatever I'm playing with my friends. I like to do a lot of home labbing, so that really
Mhm.
takes up a decent amount of time as well, right? So I have a server
Right.
stack actually in the other room, and that's where I
Oh wow.
do most of my experimentation as far as like Linux goes and those type of
Mhm.
projects. So
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
it's a little bit of a time sink, but it's always a lot
Yeah.
of fun to have like a full network within, because then you
Right.
can do a lot
Right.
more, as opposed to someone who would have to spin up a normal game server. I can just spin something up
Mhm.
on like pterodactyl, and I
Mhm.
just have that kind of hosted locally and we all can play together. Yeah, so what would you say the coolest like coding project you've worked on is?
In terms of work or in terms of
Just
leisure?
about anything really, I would say.
Mm. Mhm. Okay, I'll give a sort of cop out answer. Um, and the cop out answer will be any project that allows me to solve any sort of day to day problem.
Mm,
That's where I have the most fun. So anything that will make my life a little bit easier, I enjoy investing that time into to hopefully get that return out of. So yeah, that'll be my cop out answer. I haven't been able to work on too many of my own personal projects, and when it comes to work related projects, it's more of a focus and also a bit of and sometimes a bit of tension with other parties involved, so you can't necessarily do exactly what you want, for better or for worse. But yeah,
okay, so is that kind of like where the topics for the group come in? Is this kind of like some of the stuff happening in your in your day job, or I remember we covered a
a
topic one
little bit.
time, handling conflict, I think was one of them, right?
No, 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 no. I mean, that's an interesting point, but no. Thankfully, I've been blessed with great coworkers and a great environment at work, so that hasn't been an issue for me. Um, but topics for the group, I try to center them around anything um, that's currently relevant in the job market or currently relevant in tech. So you'll always need to know how to deal with coworkers. You'll always need to know how to um, build a resume for a job. You always need to know, a lot of things relating to tech. And or Jim and I try to center out the events for the group around those relevant topics.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. So do you think all the people coming in are eventually going to get replaced by AI? What's your take on that one? That one's a hot topic. Everyone loves the debate. The end of the world is through AI. We're all going to lose our
Yeah.
programming jobs in 5 years. I cannot tell you how many times I've heard someone say, "Yeah, we're not going to have a job in 5 years." So what's
Yeah.
your thought on that? Do you think I'm going to have a job?
Um,
Are you going to have a job, man?
I know for certain that you'll have a job just because of how innovative you are in entrepreneurship. That's not going to go away, right? So regardless of what happens with manual coding, that's not going to change for you. In terms of my opinion about AI and that whole hype train, because that's what I feel it is currently. Um, it I think that we're far off from any sort of world where developers aren't relevant to some capacity, right? Some mundane jobs or some mundane tasks will be replaced by AI, but that's happened in the past. That's currently happening. So in my mind, that trend is just going to continue with AI. It's just going to make mundane things easier um, for all of us. I will also say I have been a lot more interested in recent times with project management, systems design, and all those things, with the eye forward of writing hundreds of lines of code may not be as relevant in my day to day because of AI. What's your take on it?
I think that it's pretty good. I actually just I think at time of recording this actually that there's actually about to be an episode that releases for this podcast actually where I kind
Okay.
of take my take on it as well. I
Okay.
think that a lot of programmers are like replacing their knowledge with AI. So
Mm,
you'll see some of the new guys coming in. They'll use it as kind of like a crutch. I feel like,
yep.
and what happens when AI is maybe not consumer anymore? Where we're gonna be left to rely on what we have left. I don't know. Maybe like I'm an AI
Gotcha.
doomsday type guy, right? But I think that AI is
You mean
great if
like
you
AI getting
understand what
paid
it's
well?
outputting. But like if you don't
Mm,
understand it, then I feel like that's where you kind of draw the line. Like maybe you should use it more like Google as opposed to using it to like write the application for you, which I think is where a lot of the
sure.
hype really comes from, right? How can I get AI
Yeah.
to write my app for me so that I don't have to learn
Mhm.
how to make that?
Yeah, and I completely agree with that because, as we all know, AI hallucinates. And how do you know it's hallucinating if you don't know that what it's giving you is incorrect, right, or correct?
Yeah, I
So I
think
think
it can
that's
be a
a
great
valid
tool.
point.
Yeah, like
Mhm.
totally. It can save you a ton of time. Like I've been using
Mhm.
AI a lot more recently in some of my coding projects, right? But I'm
Mhm.
always aware of like what it's spitting out, or at least I'm looking it
Yep,
up to try to understand what it's spitting out, right?
exactly.
Some people they'll try to build
Exactly.
these applications where, and I've seen it firsthand where they build this application and then they're left clueless on what to even ask in the first place to debug it because there's not enough context provided to the AI.
Right.
And we are starting to see some of those limitations with like ChatGPT 4 crashing.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I don't know. That's my take on it at least. I'm
Yeah.
I'm a little bit more of like slow to approach it. I got an email the
Mhm.
other day where there's a software engineering newsletter that gets sent out. He called programmers who resist AI like dinosaurs, saying that they're going to become extinct.
Yeah.
And I'm like, maybe I am being like a dinosaur or the people that I critique for, you know, wanting to use AI or not wanting to use AI. It's it's
Mhm.
it's a deep topic, I feel like, but whether if it's here to
Yeah.
stay, and I think it probably most likely is here to stay. We just got to figure out how to
Mhm.
use it as a tool. But I think a lot of that
Exactly.
also comes back to the shiny object syndrome that a lot of developers face. They see a new technology, they want to build with it, and they try to convince their work that that's the best thing possible for them to do.
Yeah, and that's very true. And what you called it a tool, I completely agree with that. Right. In the same way that a computer was a tool back in the day to make tasks a lot easier, I completely agree with that as well.
Hey, let's talk about the group a little bit actually,
Sure.
because that's a lot of topic happening within the group. Is the AI. So just kind of a little bit about the group, a little bit of history, right? So it
Yeah.
all started back in Philly, right? But before it
Really.
went online due to COVID. And then
Mhm.
how many years has the group been running like before it came online?
That's a great question. I believe that it started in 2018, if not late or early 2019. Um, so it was started by Anderson. I'm not sure if you've met him, but great guy. He started the group because he wanted to build a community of like-minded developers to help him learn and help him along his journey in tech. And it evolved from there for his desire to do that. So
Okay.
yeah.
When did he transition out? That must have been before COVID, right?
So no, he actually remember this because I started my current job at around the same time that he asked me to be an organizer for the group, and that was September 2020. So that was when he had too much of his on his plate with his new job in tech and life, so he decided to transition the group to someone else, which it turned out to be Gemini.
Okay.
But he's still around. He's still active. He's always paying attention to what's happening in the group. Just he just may not be as chatty as the rest of us.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I think I've seen him around a time or two.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah.
Okay,
But
dude.
we'd like to start doing in-person events again, to some capacity. That way, that same sort of community that he originated, we can bring a little bit of that back. I know that's difficult now that we are bigger outside of Philly, but yeah,
Yeah, now there's a whole online community aspect of that as well. And all that came
exactly,
from what,
exactly.
Meetup?
Yeah, uh, definitely 90% of it came from Meetup. Maybe a bit of it came from LinkedIn as well. Once we created a page for that, I believe in 2021. So yeah, yeah.
Okay,
We've
cool.
definitely
So
grown outside of Philly.
so the scale of the group really came from when
Mhm.
COVID broke out and this group went online.
Yep,
Because that's around when
yep,
I came
yep,
in too,
exactly,
right? So,
exactly. Exactly. So the group has always been on Meetup, but when the pandemic happened, all our events went virtual, and I think around that same time as well, Meetup um, opened up events to a wider group outside of a specific locale. So people from all over the United States could tune in or see events from places like Philly. So I think that really helped us, and it helped Meetup stay afloat in that time. So and everyone wasn't getting stuck at that point in 2020 as well. Like you're stuck at home, you're everything is going online, virtual. So why not learn or why not try to get into that, right?
yeah, that makes a lot of sense now as well.
Hmm.
So, yeah, a lot of people really went online due to COVID.
Hmm.
Um,
Yep. Yep.
a lot of groups that
Whether they
was
wanted to or not. Yeah.
right. Government lockdowns, man.
Yep.
Definitely not looking forward to when that eventually does happen again in the future. I think if
Yeah.
anything, that showed us like what all is willing to happen.
Yep. Yep. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. I'm also not looking forward to it. I
Oh
will say
yeah.
I did enjoy quiet on hiking trails due to just everyone being more virtual. I will say that.
Oh
But
okay.
yeah.
Yeah, that must have been pretty quiet then. Everyone's scared they're gonna catch it from the sky.
Yeah, right. Exactly. And I enjoyed a lot of peace and quiet, and a lot of time to
So is this
myself.
just trails around Philly, or do you like travel around the country and go on different trails, or?
So I would like to travel around the country to visit different national parks, but I've currently been hiking around PA, and I think the furthest I ever went was New York to hike, um, New York State to hike outside of PA. Hopefully, I get to explore other states for that.
Okay. And is that just like a time thing?
Yeah, it's definitely a um, a time thing in terms of like where I am in my life, and all that. So
Yeah, sure.
once I'm in a different season, absolutely.
What do you feel is like the strongest factor of the group? Like, what do you think makes a group as successful as it is today with the networking, right? Because I feel like it's pretty successful. From what I can see, a
Hmm.
lot of people are networking. I've talked with a few members like outside of the group as well.
Hmm.
What do you think is like the characteristic maybe that creates such a strong group to you?
Yeah. So one of the things that Jim and I, um, before we decided to move forward together with the group in 2020, was that um, we wanted to ensure that it would never become a day job for us. And what that meant was that we needed to ensure that the community was self-sustaining to a certain degree, right? We needed to make sure that everyone or any most people that came into the group, um, one like felt a part of the group or the community enough to also invest time into the community because that was the only way that it would work for us, right? And what that meant was experienced developers and experienced developers, at whatever stage you were when you came into the group, and you gained anything from the group or you gained something from the group, you would feel motivated to also invest into other people coming into the group to then give back, right? To then help other developers who, were at your position at one point, right? So it's been, since I was an organizer, it's been almost 4 years now. And we've had, a bunch of people that have started in tech and gotten into full-time positions that are still active into the capacity of helping other developers who are now coming into tech, right? And that was the vision for the group where we wouldn't have to do everything. Jim and I wouldn't have to do everything. Um, I think that's the biggest component of the group, and my desire now is that it keeps growing, right? I'm not going to be the organizer forever, and hopefully, Jim and I did enough that someone else would be in a position to step up to, create events that people want to see and facilitate that community that we've facilitated for however many years.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. I think
Yeah.
that's the biggest strength of the group.
Cool. So the group actually just recently got sponsored by Jetbrains. Is there any other sponsors coming up soon that we don't know about yet?
Yeah, that's a good question. So it's I'll give the spoiler answer. Currently, we don't have any other sponsors lined up, but it's a desire of mine, and it was a desire of Jim as well to have other sponsors involved with the group and with the community. The only caveat with that is, with a sponsor, we need to ensure that whatever we're getting from that sponsor is being utilized, right? So that's the next challenge. Once you get a sponsor, is the community utilizing the benefits of that sponsor? And it's been an interesting balance for us um, last year after being sponsored by JetBrains to get to have like the community utilize the benefits of that sponsorship. So that's something that I think we have an answer for in 2024, and we'll see how it goes in the first half of 2024, in the first couple of months of 2024, and then go from there. Once we see some traction, some benefit, and we say, okay, that's a good template here. We can include other sponsors with this template. So yeah, hopefully that answered your question. Yeah,
So no one's in line yet, right?
not yet. We want to make sure that the community is utilizing what we already have with JetBrains first. But yeah,
Okay.
once as soon as we see that, trust me, we will have many more sponsors involved with the
You heard him, guys. Sign up.
group.
Submit your
Yep.
applications today, and maybe you will be part of the fortunate few.
Yep.
Cool, man. Is there anything like specifically about the group that you would love to highlight, maybe? Or
Yeah. So the goal of the group, and I think I touched on this a little bit, but the goal of the group is to bring inexperienced developers or people looking to get into the industry and experienced developers together in one place. And the benefit of that is that those who went through that process themselves can then give back to people coming into that process or into tech, right? And even if you didn't go through that process yourself, is being able to give back to a younger dev and showing them the right things to do in tech, like you said, Logan, like showing them that you need to actually understand the fundamentals of tech or software development rather than using AI as a crutch. Like those are things that we want to ensure that younger devs know and practice, right? And the only way to do that is to have an experienced dev that's willing to invest their time into those younger developers or those newer developers. So that's one thing I love about the group, is that we have that, and that's one thing I want to highlight about the group, and I want to put out to anyone that's out there. If you want to join the group, you're an experienced dev, definitely join the community to help out younger devs,
yeah, and we're
even if
definitely gonna
it's
have
a minute of
links
your
down
time.
there in the description as well.
Yeah.
So
I
is
mean,
there
we
anything
we
else
have
you
a lot
think
of
we might
great.
have missed? I mean, there's a lot here, right?
Yeah, we have a lot of great events coming
Yeah, let's hear
coming to
about that.
2024, starting in starting next week. Yes, next week, because this week we have the yes, next week, the 28th. And those events are planned out and laid out based off of the recommendations and the desires of our community in terms of what they wanted to see from 2023 and 2024. So the events that we have laid out, those are directly from the community, and I think they're great. Right, I think that they'll be incredibly beneficial to whether or not you're an entry level developer or an experienced developer. So join us if you can, and if you can't, still keep track of the events that we have and share it. Right.
Cool.
That's all I got.
Okay, then I guess we can kind of wrap things up with a few questions that I had for you. Here towards
Okay.
the end, as we kind of wrap up here, I would like to ask you a couple questions that we're going to start asking some of the guests that come onto the show, right? So, what is one thing that you wish more people would ask you about?
Uh, s- oh, okay. Um, hmm, that's a very interesting question. Let's jump to the second question. I'll think about that and circle back
Sure.
around. Yeah.
Um, would you have any advice for anyone who's like listening that's just getting into the industry? So like join the group. Is there like any words of encouragement or like words of wisdom that you would like to give out to everyone here?
Yeah.
That's my second
Find a
question.
community. Yep. Find a community. Find like-minded developers that can encourage you along your journey. It will get difficult. It will get challenging. You will want to quit. But having people that you can either vent to, bounce bugs off of, or just communicate outside of just technical topics, I believe is very necessary. So definitely find a community, whether or not it's us or another community, doesn't matter. Find a community to lean on in definitely in difficult moments that you will experience along your journey for sure. That would be my recommendation.
That's some pretty solid advice, man. It's
Yep.
definitely a
I
great
wish I had
community.
done that more.
Yeah, I wish I would have definitely had found this group like a long time ago. Um, that probably wouldn't have been possible with the way that things lined up, right? But
Right,
yeah, but
right.
I feel like that this is of great value to just about anyone that comes in and listens.
Hmm.
The group events have been great, very informative towards
Thank
people.
you.
I've learned quite a
Thank
bit
you.
from other people through the group. So
Hmm.
I think there's something for everyone to learn, and that it's definitely
Yep.
an awesome place to be, man.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So did you think about what you would love more people to ask you about?
Okay. So I will. I'm trying to decide if I want to give another cop out answer, but I feel like I've used my cop out answer for today. So I will say you've been
Sure.
such a great host that there isn't anything that I can think of um, that you haven't already asked me that I wouldn't have wanted to be asked. Right. So you asked about my interests outside of tech, which I think is a big thing. You definitely need something to focus on outside of the screen. So the fact that you asked me that, I think it's a great thing. Um, you asked about the community, so getting it out there, I think is also another great thing. So you've been such a great host that
Thanks, man.
you
I'm a little
haven't
bit
missed a
newer to the
step.
scene, so that means a lot.
You haven't missed a step.
Cool, man. Well, I won't
Mhm.
hold you at a gunpoint on that question. If you really don't have anything else and that we've seriously covered everything, then
No, no. I mean,
it's
again, this has been great.
yeah, right? So they
Um,
can join the group in the description. Where can we find you?
mhm.
If people want to get a hold of you, maybe sponsorship deals.
Yeah, so LinkedIn is the best way. Send me a message there. I typically check it at least once a day. So if you put something in my DMs, I will see it. If you send a connection, I will see it. Even if you aren't looking to sponsor the group or you don't have anything in relation to the group, if you need help in tech, just send a connection, and I will do my best to help you. Um, yeah. So I think my name should be somewhere in the description as well. If not, I can spell it out. Okay. So
Um,
just search me on LinkedIn. I think my name is one of a kind. So you shouldn't have any issue. So FIFI. My first name, last name, Degarr. Fifi Degarr, the full name.
Cool.
Yep.
Well, man, I'll tell you what. Let's go get some coffee. Not coffee.
All right. Thank you for having me, Logan. See.
See ya.